Hi everyone, my name is Liz Timbs. I'm a third-year PhD student in the Department of History. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a project that I have just started working on called Zulus on Display. And I'll be talking a little bit about the process of building this as well as using StoryMapJS. So I first started thinking about mapping as a way to, oh yeah. I didn't know if I could just do that, everybody. Oh, this is better. I first started thinking about using mapping as a way to tell stories last year as a Cultural Heritage Informatics Fellow. I was working on a archive of the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, and one of the things I wanted to do was show how FIFA exerted control and the ways they tried to exert control. And these zones that they used were one way that they did that, and I wanted to use maps to make these things look more real, aside from just a piece of paper, but actually show how they were on the landscape and everything. And you can see what the final product was. I didn't get to integrate this into the final project, but it really got me thinking again about how storytelling can be enhanced when you bring space into your final product. And that brings me to my Chi project for this year. I was invited back as a returning fellow, and when I was thinking about the kind of project that I wanted to do, I really wanted to do something that was closer to my own research interests. I study Zulu history, and so thinking about a way to bring that in was really important to me. And so this project, Zulus on Display, explores the exhibition of Zulus as entertainment starting in the 1850s and really going forward until the present, but I'm not sure what the limitations I'm going to put on that are going to be. And the reason that I chose spatial analysis to illustrate this, one, it's really dynamic. I'll show you how StoryMap works, but also because it illustrates that this exchange of information, the exhibitions of Zulus, wasn't just something that went from South Africa to Europe and stayed there, but these ideas went back and forth, back to South Africa, to England, to France, to Belgium, to the United States, and they really circulated, and that's something that the map displays really, really well. So this is the map that I've built, and eventually it's going to be embedded into a larger website, but I'll just walk you through a little bit of what I have so far and then talk about the process of building this. So this was built with StoryMaps, which is a product by the Knight Foundation. The Knight Foundation really focuses on open source projects that can be used for journalism. So they're very focused on storytelling, which is really key for what I'm trying to do here. So you see there are points on the map for each individual event. You can integrate media, and it travels forward as you go through the slides. And you can embed individual photos. You can also embed videos. I have some documents on here as well. And it really gives you a sense of space. A lot of photos from this one exhibit in 1853. I'm going to have to narrow those down. But for example, this exhibit happened in May of 1853. It was a series of photographs done by Nicholas Henneman of these Zulus that were brought to London to be displayed by this family called the Caldecotts. And it's interesting because that links to, in June of 1853, Charles Dickens viewed this same exhibition, these same peoples, and then wrote this pamphlet called The Noble Savage, which really gives us an interesting snapshot of kind of racial thought in this period. And it links really nicely. And then you'll see it goes back to South Africa. So there's like a renewed interest in the Zulus in January of 1879 after the Battle of Isandlwana. So again, this is just showing the circulation of ideas. And I won't take you through the whole thing. Again, StoryMap was built by the Knight Foundation. It's open source. You can go onto GitHub and download it, or you can use their web interface to make maps. It's a really, really straightforward, low barrier to entry interface that you can use. You can see here, you just upload images or you can link to URLs. The majority of my sources are from either the British Library, the Royal Archives, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and so you can go directly to the original sources. And then you can also have text and hyperlinks in the text. Really, really simple. I'll show you what the site looks like right now. Again, it's really, really early, but any feedback that people have or questions would be great when we get to the discussion part. Right. And so I've integrated this into a website that was built using Twitter Bootstrap with a theme from Start Bootstrap. And you'll see it's just basic, and then the map is the main focus of the website. And then you can provide feedback if you have any ideas about that. Then I just want to speak really briefly about potential uses of StoryMap, because I think it's a really great tool. A lot of the Knight Foundation tools I think are really excellent pedagogical tools because they do have a really low barrier to access. They're easy to learn, and they're really easy to collaborate with. For example, Time Mapper just uses a Google spreadsheet. Lots of people can contribute to that at the same time. StoryMap in particular conveys information in a really clear, straightforward way. I could see this being used for lectures, for example, but I could also see it being used for class assignments for students to be contributing to a class story map to tell different stories. For me, what this has really helped me do is to provide a visual representation of my research. A lot of the times, the main way that we're interacting with people is through text. And so having something like this where you're still interacting with text, but you provide multiple layers of that experience for the users, I think is really, really useful. And again, the open access framework really allows for collaboration, which for me is important since I work in South Africa. Being able to have other people working and commenting and contributing is something that's really key. So I guess I'll stop there, but looking forward to talking about it in the discussion part.